Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's Up Inland Empire. I'm Jessica Q, your host, and today I've got Michael Barnett. Hold on, wait. I'm using my sound effects today.
The crowd goes wild.
Yes, I love it. And so Michael Barnett has written a book.
Yes.
About customer service. It's called Customer Relationship Imprinting. Yeah. And, you know, on the cover, you actually have a fingerprint or like a print. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, let's start off with a little bit of like a background. Let everybody know who you are so they can, you know.
Sure. So I have a background in brand development and marketing. And I found myself on the marketing side, having some campaigns like any marketer does, and like, this is going to be a great campaign. This is going real well. We got the right money behind it, the right offer, and then it would fall apart at the customer service level. And saw that happen time and time again, and with different businesses, and started realizing there's a missing piece that a lot of people, a lot of marketers in particular, weren't looking at, and that's how that offers being delivered at the service level. It's like the last 5 feet of any good campaign is really the interaction with the staff. And so it really took me down a path of helping people and helping, first of all, to understand what are all those components that go into delivering exceptional customer service. Mm-hmm. And then how can I help other people deliver that service? What does that look like across all sorts of different types of businesses? And so that's what I try to do. I try to help people. I've identified really 6 different practices that, you know, the Chick-fil-A's, the Disney's, the Nordstroms, that they all do. They all have these 6 pieces and really help businesses work on those 6 pieces. And that's really the foundation for exceptional service.
And what you're saying is that when you have exceptional customer service, this actually will help grow your business. This is going to increase sales. And I'm sure also to bring back customers, to have those, you know, returning customers. And
totally. In fact, one of the statistics that really got my attention was something put out by American Express. And they said, if you and I were selling the same exact goods or services, I was delivering those goods and services with, you know, acceptable services, meaning it was, you know, I delivered it on time, as a reasonable price, I was nice enough. But you were delivering that same good or service with exceptional service. According to American Express, people would pay you 17% more than they'd pay me. So in the book, we call it the 17% factor.
Okay.
And we all have places that we spend more money with. And so what I try to do is help businesses be that business, you know, because we all have those places. Yeah, I pay them a little bit more, but they really take care of me.
Feel that you like it, whatever. There's something about that place that makes it better. It's kind of like the Walmart and the Target, right? Like, we all know Walmart's a little bit cheaper. But, you know, if you go to Target, I guess it's like a little bit classier.
Well, we all love receiving great service.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what happens is we think we're delivering a level of service higher than maybe we are. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, the goal for me is to help people kind of turn the camera inward and say, okay, how are we doing? And what do we need to expand on that we're already doing that's really well? Uh-huh. And what are some things we need to change? Because oftentimes, you know, it is these small little things that make these big differences. Like, if you think about it, between Walmart and Target, there's really not a huge difference in price. There's not a huge difference, but the experience, somehow they've changed the experience, where I'd rather be at one store rather than another. And so, my hope is that people will really latch onto those 6 principles that are found in all the businesses that we think about when we think about exceptional service, and just kind of begin to implement those. And the results of that is what I call customer relationship imprinting, which is the ability to attract, acquire, and retain more customers who follow you regardless of circumstances. So,
and can you tell us what these 6 elements are?
I cannot. You cannot know what those are.
No.
Yeah. So basically, I'll kind of give them away a little bit. So the first one's the most obvious one, and that is businesses that have exceptional service. Number one, they find a way to make their customers stay.
Okay.
They don't just try to keep the customer happy. They literally find ways to make the customer happy. And one of the ways that we do that is we talked about something called relational Velcro. We try to create more meaningful interactions with your customer, rather than just, you know, calling them up and thank you for your order. But what can we do to have a more meaningful interaction? So that's the first one.
And would you say like building rapport is one way to like actually have like a connection with them, knowing more of like their personal life maybe, or in that sense, is that in one way you could do that?
Almost regardless of whether it's a small business or even a global brand, at the end of the day, you're trying to build rapport, or what I call relational Velcro, with customers, to where you're not just another one of 5 choices that like, oh, no, I'm going to choose them because they always take care of me. In Amazon's case, they know what I buy. And it's an algorithm. It's not a person, but they figured out a way to make me feel like, oh, they understand based upon my shopping habits, all that kind of stuff. And so there's things that we can do to replicate that. So that's the first one, find a way to make their day. The second piece, the second practice that businesses that are achieving exceptional customer service, they have what I call is they enlist and they empower service architect. And a service architect is really somebody that champions the cause of service. And this can be somebody at the corporate level all the way down to the store level if it's a retail location. So these are people that they're empowered to try to make their customers' day, right?
Okay.
They're not just policy followers, but they try to see other ways to do things differently. Just like an architect, they see what the building will be before anybody else does. They know what it's going to look like. And, we drive by those fields that are empty, and as they're building, we're like, I have no idea what they're building if they don't have a sign out front, right?
Right.
But as it's being built, we start guessing. A service architect on the service side of things, they don't guess. They know exactly the experience they want to provide for their customers. So service architects is the second one. The third one is we have to develop customer-centric employees.
Okay.
Employees that are locked into what the customer needs, their stated and their unstated needs.
Okay.
It's not just, try to make the customer happy. We need to figure out ways to, at our operational level of our staff, of them delivering exceptional service. And so that's a piece that all these big businesses do. When you think about Chick-fil-A, they have people that aren't really making a lot of money, but they deliver really a great service. That's the example everybody always brings up, Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A, yeah.
But what a great example in the midst of, if you go to some of the other fast food chains, you're like, man, I can't get good service here. They're not very nice. Chick-fil-A has a great, and again, none of this happens by accident. They're doing these practices that we're talking about. So develop customer-centric employees. And then I will cheat and tell you that it's in the back of the book.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, if you look at the back of the book.
Oh, you've got all 6. Okay.
Yeah. The fourth one is to treat brand and service as inseparable. Okay. So we do that as consumers. If a Tesla came out with a brand new product that we'd be all excited about, but their customer service was horrible, initially we would say, oh, I love the product, but it's poor customer service. But at some point we'd say, I don't like the product because it's the service that really delivers the brand. Okay. And so oftentimes your brand promises, they're either delivered or they're destroyed by your customer service. So if you have a great brand but poor service, at some point you have a poor brand. Okay. And so when you look at all those companies that deliver a great experience, they have that brand and they treat that brand and their service as one piece. Okay. The other piece is really more internal. It's more nurturing the culture that you want to create. It's a rarity that you have companies that have great customer service and horrible internal culture. So even if it's 3 employees or 5 employees or 5,000 employees, it's really about creating and nurture the culture that you want to have. And so in the book we talk about this idea of whatever you feed is what's going to lead, and whatever you reward is going to be repeated. So if you're connecting with your employees on a way that you're rewarding them for great customer service, that's going to get repeated, and that's going to be something that starts becoming a value and part of the DNA, again, of some of these organizations. When you think of the Disneys, or you think of the Nordstroms or Zappos or some of those different places, they have a culture that's internal that they work really hard to make sure it's a positive and a service-oriented culture. And I think that's a really important piece. And then the last piece is you have to really steer the service with systems. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of who's working that day. Oh, they're really nice, have great customer service. Oh, that person's not great. But if you have systems in place, then it really doesn't matter it matters, but it matters less who you plug in there, because you've created a system for them to operate in. And so every business that does well with customer service, they understand that you have to steer that service with systems. So that's the 6.
So those are the 6. Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing those 6. We're going to go ahead and cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Are you ready to have a white and bright smile? Then it's time to order Qattawai Wowi. Go to customer-centric.com to learn more about this system that works in 7 days to give you a bright smile. Use code podcast and get $20 off. Thank you to our sponsor, Qattawai Wowi. If you want a white, bright smile, get some Qattawai Wowi. All right. Okay. So thank you for sharing the, 6 principles.
Yeah.
Now you've got this book. How can people find your book? Where can they get a copy of it?
So it's on Amazon. You can go to my website, sixsidedservice.com, SIXSIDED service.com.
Okay.
It's on Walmart, kind of anywhere you can buy books, Barnes & Noble, it's available.
Awesome.
It's a Kindle version. And I like to tell people what I like about the audio version is it's not my voice.
It's not?
No, we had a lady with a great voice, because I figured nobody wants to hear me drone on for 3 hours, but she has a very soothing voice, and so we went with that option. So I thought that was kind of a fun, different thing to do.
Awesome,
right?
that is.
So
That's
yeah,
fun
you
and
have
exciting.
audio book, have Kindle, and have a softcover book that they can order. So
Okay, wonderful. And so let's say a business owner is listening right now and they're very intrigued by what you're saying, and they do realize that, hey, my team's customer service isn't the best and we need to, up it, and they need some training. Do you offer training?
we do. We offer some consulting, and it's a great opportunity. Businesses spend a lot of money on their sales team training and on their software and on all their new stuff, but rarely do they spend time on really one of the greatest assets, and that is their customer service and the way they're handling their greatest asset, which is their customer. And so, yeah, we offer lunch trainings, we offer full-day trainings, weekend trainings, Zoom trainings, which did a Zoom training today. So, awesome. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for people to really kind of expand and open their understanding of service. And so that's something that we provide. They can contact me, info@sixsidedservice.com.
And or go to your website and get more information.
Yeah, set up an
and
appointment.
it's when you, as a business owner myself, I know that it's so important to invest in the business, from the equipment that we have in the studio,
Sure.
or what my team uses, laptops, so on and so forth. This is also a place that you do want to invest in making sure that your team understands, good customer service, excellent, exceptional customer service. And, I know that you wrote this book during the pandemic, which I think was probably the best time.
It worked out.
Yes, it really did. It gave you a chance to write it,
Yeah.
but also it was a perfect time to come out, because I do feel that the pandemic really affected how people deal with one another. And then as people started coming back to the workforce, it wasn't the same. It was different. And people, because they were locked up technically for, so long, it was like, the interaction wasn't the same. Do you feel the same about that? Like how we came back after the pandemic? And because I do feel this is a great book to have now.
Well, thank you. It's an interesting piece, because I think people would say, both business owners and us as customers, saying the customer service has gone by the wayside and it's become worse. And people are just saying, I just hope people show up on their shift to do their shift. And some of that also comes back to, I think one of the things the pandemic did is it exposed the businesses that really weren't valuing some of their employees maybe in ways they could. And I don't want to get on a rant about that. Yeah. But one of the things I found interesting is we have to give our employees a mission beyond the paycheck. Because what's happening now post-COVID is people can get another $1 here and get 50 cents, and they're leaving just for a few dollars. But ultimately, the people that are staying, they're staying at the businesses. They feel like they have a mission. They feel like they're doing something beyond they're just getting a paycheck. Tom Shoes is an old example, right? Of people would buy Tom Shoes knowing that, they're going to donate a pair of shoes somewhere else. Yeah. You have businesses like Harley Davidson that they give swag bags of their Harley Davidson stuff. They send it to soldiers overseas. That's just something they do for free. Nobody knows really about that. But their employees understand that. Giving back, and again, their employees buy into that. It becomes this big piece. In fact, it has such an impact that Steve Jobs, he wanted to get John Scully, who was the president of Pepsi, to join Apple early on. And, John Scully's leading Pepsi, this huge corporation. Why would he leave that? Yeah. He worked his whole life to get that job. So every weekend he would sit in New York and say, John, you got to come to Apple. And he kept saying no, it wasn't the money. And finally, he had one phrase that he told John Scully that made him say yes, and it had nothing to do with money. He said this. He said, are you going to spend to John Scully, He said, are you going to spend the rest of your life making sugar water, or are you going to come with me and change the world? He gave him a mission beyond himself, beyond the paycheck. And if we can do that as employers, that's just another piece of that relational Velcro that keeps our employees connected to us. And again, it's hard no matter how you slice it, but these are pieces, when you look at the organizations that are retaining their employees, they have that piece in there where they've nurtured the culture in such a way that their employees get it and they feel
more connected.
They feel they have a purpose beyond just getting their paycheck. So that's an important piece.
Awesome. Yeah. So is there anything that you would like to let business owners know out there about, customer service, or just maybe something that, a lot of people aren't thinking about, but it's a big deal?
Yeah. I think a couple things come to mind. One is start somewhere. I mean, I think sometimes people just say, well, our service, most people say this, our service is pretty good. We're not perfect, but I think we do a pretty good job. And they base everything on a Yelp review, or they don't get a lot of customer complaints. And there's such a huge chasm between acceptable service and exceptional service. I'll give you one last statistic. Bain & Company interviewed 462 business owners, and they said, do you deliver superior customer service? And 80% of them said yes. No surprise, right? Mm-hmm. And then they went to 1,000 of the customers of those businesses and said, are you receiving superior customer service? And the number is a little bit different. And so what do you think the percentage of those 1,000 people that agreed with those businesses they were delivering exceptional
It's probably less
service?
than half.
8%.
Oh, gosh, that's really bad.
That's a piece that we have to wrestle with and say, if there's such a big difference between our customers saying we only 8% saying that we're delivering great service, and we're 80% saying, hey, we're delivering this amazing service, that's a big enough difference. It should get our attention. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean we're not delivering service. It just means those are things to think about. If you saw that kind of difference in some of your other numbers and some of your other metrics you use to gauge your business, that would get your attention. And so I tell people, start somewhere. And maybe it's reading a book on service. Maybe it's bringing somebody like me to do some consulting. Mm-hmm. But really, the other piece of that is we've all been customers for so long that it becomes that piece of when I talk to people and say, oh, I help people with customer service, like, oh, yeah, we do that. And then we start really talking like, oh, wow, that's totally different, because we're so used to being customers from the time we're a little kid and we're walking up to McDonald's and they're, advertising to us, right? We're customers.
Oh, yeah.
That we think we have a handle on great customer service. So that's a piece that we need to honestly look at and say, okay, what level of service are we really delivering? Is it acceptable or is it exceptional?
And what's the best way for a business owner to really evaluate what level of service they're currently providing?
I think there's so many tools. One of those things is you really need to start looking and asking harder questions of your customers and harder questions of your employees about where did we miss? Do we exit interviews with employees? Where are we missing on customer service? Mm-hmm. Go deeper than the likes on social media. Connect with some of those customers and say, hey, what do you think we could be doing better with our customer service? When you get those complaints, go deeper into those complaints. And then again, there's all sorts of metrics we could use if you bring in a consultant to kind of look at what are those pieces that need to be changed from the standpoint of how hard is it to get a hold of somebody at your company on the phone? Mm-hmm. How difficult is it to navigate your website? It's all those pieces. So that's the tricky thing about exceptional customer service. There's no one piece. It really is a lot of different pieces that make those that do those things. But there are six places to start that I would recommend. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And one last thing before we sign off.
Yep.
I want to talk to you about Yelp and Google reviews, because you did bring it up. And I know that a lot of businesses, it's a nightmare. You get on there and it's just, I don't know, it's not usually very friendly. It's either really great or people are getting ripped apart. Businesses are getting ripped apart. Like, where do you stand with that? How do you feel about that? What do you think?
Wow, we don't have enough time for that one.
We could sit here for hours.
It's so challenging when on one side, it's great that now you've empowered your customers to speak to other customers about their experience. Mm-hmm. I think those are things, again, that we can't ignore. I think the downside of that is you have some people that we also have a complaint culture, that something doesn't go their way and they want to rip somebody up on social media. And I think I take those with a grain of salt, but if you are seeing lots of bad reviews and they're saying the same thing, that should that should get your attention.
That's a great way to actually evaluate your business, is going and looking at the reviews, and if there's a lot of negative ones. And because, if there's a certain person that isn't giving great service, it's going to be, obvious on there. You're going to be able to tell, because they'll say, oh, that girl, oh, this girl. You know what I mean? They'll be like that same person, or
yeah. I think the opposite's true. If the same person or the same type of service is getting great attention, you need to expand what you're doing there. There may be some things you're already doing really good. You need to expand on if people are complimenting you on it. So there's ways you can disrupt your service and the people's experience.
Not just
in a positive
negative,
way.
but the positive. Yeah. Look at both. Awesome.
Yeah.
That was so great. Well, thank you so much for coming out and being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
And before we go, if you just want to let everybody know how they can get your book, how they can reach out to you, I highly recommend Michael. He actually did 1 hour session with my team on customer service. It was really amazing.
That was fun.
Everybody came up to me afterwards and said how great it was. So
awesome.
They really appreciated it. They did learn a lot. So thank you for that.
Good. Yeah. Would love to connect with you. You can connect directly with me. Email michael@sixsidedservice.com. The book's Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, or sixsidedservice.com.
So customer relationship imprinting.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
Michael.
So much.
And thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
What's up, Inland Empire? This is Pablo with the 1-800-BizBroker Business Moment. Today I'm going to tell you how to literally double the value of your business. Now, it's an easy idea, but it's a hard concept to actually implement. And this is really to eliminate the importance of the owner in a business. And this applies to lots of service businesses like insurance companies, cleaning businesses, hair salons, brokerages, where the owner is a key element of the business. These businesses are usually only worth about 1 time's earnings when they come up for sale. However, if you can figure out a way with management, with operating procedures that are standardized, with people that you trust, where you can delegate, and you remove the importance of you being the center of that business, it'll literally double the value. Those businesses are not going to be worth 2 times the earnings of the business, or two times the value of its earnings. So, like I said, it seems like an easy idea, but it's really hard to implement. It does take some time. If you have any more questions about how to value your business or how to increase the value of your business, please reach out to me at 1-800-BizBroker, and I can definitely give you a hand with that. All right, guys, until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.